Hi, I'm Michael Ankrah, founder of Hackner Education and creator of Focus ELC. Thank you for joining me on today's power session. And I want to say, if you are here, I believe you are of the firm belief, just like myself, that the fundamental reason for our education or why we educate children today is to ensure that we prepare our leaders for tomorrow, because the children we are educating today are going to be our leaders for tomorrow, and the quality of education that we give them therefore has a direct correlation to the quality of life that we are going to live tomorrow. And so today's power session really is all about how to learn for mastery. You see, one thing which is quite baffling is that when children go to school, they are often categorized into those who are high attainers, middle attainers, and low attainers. But at the beginning of life, or as human beings, that is really not how we operate. You see, every human being, apart from those who may have some medical or extreme conditions, are able to learn the language, are able to learn how to walk, learn the essential skills of life. But then for some reason, when these same children go to school, the school says that some of them are not able to learn. And my question is, why is that the case? You see, everyone who has gone through those learning processes of life have the capacity to learn. If we watch a baby trying to walk, some of it comes instinctively. You see the baby at some point trying to elevate itself, to stand, by the help of chairs or anything available. And then eventually they are able to do that, and then they begin to learn how to balance, for instance. And then from balancing, it goes on to when they are able to take the first step, and then they take a few more steps, and then they keep on going until they are able to walk. And even when they are walking initially, you know that they are not very stable on the ground. They fall quite a few times, but they get up, they keep practicing until mastery is achieved, where they walk without thinking about it. This is how learning happens. So why is it that this same human being who has been successful at this complex learning process goes to school, and all of a sudden they are people with learning difficulties? I fundamentally disagree with that. You see, we as a society or as a people have come to buy into what scientists or psychologists refer to as implicit theories. And by implicit theories, we are talking about the limitations which we have set ourselves about our ability, what we can learn, what we can do, and the things that we are capable of. But the science is quite clear. Being able to achieve mastery at what you do is not so much to do with genetics. It has got more to do with the right amount of effort. You see, if you look at a baby's learning process, you will see a lot of determination, grit, falling down, getting up and doing that, until mastery is achieved. And in the book of Josh Kaufman, titled How to Learn Anything Fast, Kaufman actually broke down the process of learning into 4 stages, and he identified them as this. Stage 1 is the deconstruction stage, and by deconstruction, what Kaufman is basically saying is that if the baby wanted to walk, you don't just start by walking, but you break the process of walking into several subsets that you can actually learn independently. So what did baby start to do? How to elevate itself independently by using chairs or whatever is available. And then the next thing is learning how to balance, okay? And then followed by stage 3, the baby goes on to try to take a few more steps. So that is really how you deconstruct the whole learning of walking. So if you take it to school, for instance, if you want to be able to write, you don't just start writing. You need to be able to learn how to hold a pencil or a pen. You need to understand sounds. You need to know how sounds combine to form words, and how to put words together to form your sentences. And then others, and others. How do you put sentences together to construct a paragraph? But what tends to happen is this, that schools do not, or have deconstructed the skills in some haphazard way. So really, there isn't a structured or a methodical way of progressing from one stage to another. And then in Kaufman's book, he identifies stage 2 as this, where you try to teach a subset to the point where the learner is able to learn independently. And then stage 3 comes in where you try to remove all barriers. And this is often a problem in school, because we have children in schools where everything we do, in terms of sitting arrangement, the things we say, the comments we write, tell some children that this is their limit. And if you have that kind of mindset ingrained or established within the framework, that in itself is a barrier in allowing the child to challenge themselves, to practice to the point where they will be able to achieve mastery. So Kaufman rightly stated that all barriers, psychological, physical, and any form, must be removed. And then we come to the key part, which is the stage 4. And stage 4 is where the learner sticks at it. Kaufman suggested that you practice for at least 20 hours. And then I choose to go with the viewpoint of Bloom, who suggested that schools must give each learner enough time according to their aptitude to be able to learn the skill enough to the point of mastery. But you could see from my breakdown that most schools do not even get to stage 3, let alone get to stage 4. So what happens is that in year 2, the child will learn how to write a story, and they'll write it in some form. They repeat the same thing in year 3 at a different stage, and then in year 4. And as someone who has taught in year 6 for several years, you see children repeating the same mistakes that they have been making for years on end. And it is because we never allow our children to gain mastery in what we want them to do. So really, what is the way forward? The way forward is quite simple. Repetition is the mother of learning. But before you get to that point, schools must create their own curriculum. Now, this is key, because no two children are the same, and therefore no cohort of children are the same. Backgrounds, environment, and other things may impact the knowledge or the preparation that children will bring into school. It is therefore important that schools know the crop of children that they've got, and from the knowledge that they have, they design their curriculum in a way that will allow the children to carefully and progressively learn the skills that are necessary for them to build mastery. And once that is done, it's also important that schools remove all form of barriers. And now these barriers, some of them are very evident physical, but others are also psychological. As I mentioned earlier on, the comments that we make, okay, the arrangements that we have in classroom, the things that we do. Children are not silly, they are smart. And sometimes schools have gone to changing from top group to group A, group B, or whatever, and the children figure it out. So it is important that schools remove all barriers to enable children to believe in themselves, that if they apply themselves, if they stay the course, they are going to succeed. And then once the barriers have been removed, it is imperative that within the school's curriculum, within the leadership, within the school's framework, time is practically provided. This is so crucial. You make sure that the children have enough time to practice the skill to the point of mastery. There is no need to jump to the next skill if you haven't achieved mastery in the first one, because you only go up and find that you know, the skill which has not been mastered is still lacking, and therefore you go back. So you've wasted a child's time, you've wasted everybody's time. So it is imperative that schools allow children time to gain mastery. And this is not complicated, and it's not saying just do one thing, but it's about having small, subsets here and there. So it's not monotonous or it's not boring, but they pick on one thing and then they do another thing. So a little bit of handwriting, a little bit of spelling, a little bit of grammar, and all those will come together to show or demonstrate the intended skill of writing, which was the original case. And once this is done, I believe that as a society, we will be producing children who will be ready for an uncertain world. Because let's face it, nobody knows what technology is going to be like in the next 2, 5, or 10 years. Therefore, if we are training children for today, we are actually failing them big time. What we must do is actually training their mindset. And by teaching them for mastery, you are actually training the mindset to tell the child that if I find the right way and I learn in the right manner and apply myself, I will be able to succeed. And for me, these are the set of children I want to produce. These are the children I want to be running the world when I'm an old man and I'm just, chilling somewhere in my home and watching things go by. And I believe that is what you want as well. So together, let's begin this course. Let's try and get everyone involved to make sure that our children are learning for mastery. I want to thank you very much for watching this power session. My name is Michael Ankrah, and hopefully we're going to meet very soon. Thank you.